Okay, we just finished recording a new episode. It was a lot to process, I'm not gonna lie. We both were a little burnt out with the society that we're living in right now, the conditions that we're in between Palestine, between the US. I'm trying to process Ziad Rahbani dying in Lebanon and how this has been like a huge effect on everyone. And from that, we got into talking about communism, socialism, and capitalism and the differences and just try to understand it better and wrap our head around it. You might want to tune in to see. I found out I'm naturally one of them. So I guess more to talk about there. We talked a little bit about finance. I'm always feeling a little worried when we talked more about the social economy of all those countries. I was like, hold on, how does that affect our retirement? So we talked a little bit about that. And we ended up by talking about if you want to be an animal or you get the chance to be an animal, what animal would you choose to be? So tune in, enjoy it, comment, and let us know what you think.
I got my water.
I just got my water too.
I just got my water.
It's not brie.
It's not Brie. It's not Brie.
Not brie. It's not for
Oh, the Brie.
decoration. I should
Look
have.
at
I
the.
should have. Next episode, I'm bringing an actual brie. I'm gonna put it next to me. Every time I'm taking a sip of water, I'm gonna take it from the brie.
I love how crazy I looked at you when you just sat there drinking from it. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Like, why are you doing that? I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. That was the whole point of it.
I was thinking today when you mentioned the slumber party we're all having on Saturday, like, oh my God, I'm doing like 2 sleepovers like back to back.
Yes. Yes.
The sleepover, just so everyone understands, is platonic, and we binge watched couples therapy.
We did. We did. We binge watched the whole season.
It was so good.
We couldn't stop. Emma was supposed to like leave
Go
in
over
like
to dinner.
3 hours, and then here we are, 10:30 p.m. We're like, okay, now the season is over. We still had a minute. The TV froze. TV froze. TV was like, you need to get out. Like, I cannot do the whole season in one day. That
My
was a lot.
favorite part is like at first we were like one more episode, like thinking about it, and by the end we were just looking at each other like, yes,
Like,
just no words,
next.
just no shame. This guy, you know what I just couldn't stop thinking about was the lady that I said needs her own spinoff, because the one who could like would not accept that she has emotions and said like tears were coming out of my face instead of saying I was crying. I love her so much.
Yep, yep. No, that's such a good show. I am so hooked. Like I really want to watch the other seasons. But I don't want to watch them by myself now because like I want to like freaking analyze it all. So maybe we'll do one day a month where like you come over and we do another season.
I love that for us. I love that. Or maybe some other like less catastrophic, harmful to people COVID like event will happen where everybody just gets to like stay home for a little while. That would be good.
Actually, I noticed the season we watched was 2019 and they skipped 2020. And then season 2 was 21 and then they had 22 and then 23. Yeah, I wonder why did they stop? It's such a good
Just
show.
I don't
Maybe
know.
people are not interested in that. Do you think people are interested in therapy and maybe younger generation, not
I
the
mean,
older generation?
definitely not the older generation, I don't think. And then if you also like take into account that like there were a few people on the show who said repeated sexual assault was normal and things like that, like, and then the doctor had to keep saying that's not normal, like you were in danger. Like I think people don't want to come
About it.
to, yeah, they don't want to come face to face with their pain. It's hard.
It reminds me of that Trevor Noah's video that you sent me because you said, okay, do you want to talk about it? And facing your trauma. I guess that's true. I didn't, I mean, what you said last week, which is what we talked about, makes total sense, is that yes, like our trauma made us who we are, but like maybe no, like what you said made me really change my mind on that, where like now I think about it more. Maybe I'm just a good person. Like I don't need to associate it with my trauma. I guess maybe my trauma helped me zone in areas where like I understand it better. And in those specific areas, is like I'm so hyper focused on like making sure people are safe in those areas that I have experienced. But it doesn't mean I would have not done the same, you know? I'm just, I guess, yeah,
I
I see it
also think
differently.
like I think trauma also puts it to the test, like who are you going to be in these situations? I didn't need this many tests. The other thing I think it does is humility. not just like trauma, but just like a lot of chronic issues, you can either be humbled by them or like play victim. And I know for a long time I was very self-righteous, where I was like, well, I do things the right way. Why can't this person do the right, and people are doing that now, right? With Palestine. Like maybe more people are waking up, and maybe there's just people who are like pretending to wake up and speak up because they want to like clear their names for the history books. But for those that are like actually now speaking up because they've reached a point where like they're like, this is crazy. For the people who are like, you should have been here, like that's kind of self-righteous, because it wasn't, you didn't always speak up. Like we all had to learn how to speak up. We all had to. So anyway, I used to be that person and just act like because I move the right way that everyone else should, and I should be like pat on the back and stuff. And I think I got humbled by life, and then I realized like, no, actually everybody's just trying their best. So I think it serves its purpose, but I do think at my core I've always like actually held certain morals to like led my life with these values.
I saw a video today. I was going to send it to you, but it was all Arabic. It had the English translation, but I was reading it. It was like off a little bit. I was like, no, I think it's gonna miss like the point. And it's not like an original video. It's like from a Lebanese like series show. It's a scene that they took it as an inspiration from a social media video. Have you seen the video of like that teacher who was doing a test in class where like he fired one of the student, like he kicked her out of the class? And like everybody sat there, no one did anything about it. And he's like, this is exactly the whole point of the exercise is like there is like rules and laws for a reason so that they protect people who are treated badly. And it's our job as humans to speak up when we see that someone is treated unfairly. The thing that I think was missed in that video that I wish it was pointed out is it's not just like your humanity because you're a good person, but at the same time, you have to think about if we don't, as society, get together and help each other in times of need, then we're going to be so separated because each one of us is dealing with their own minority little things that you're never going to be able to actually overcome it socially by yourself. So if I see women that are dealing with something and me as a man not speak up about it, it's not just gonna happen over, it's not just gonna change overnight. Like I have to like think about, okay, I support them because eventually they will be supporting me as well. And like that's the only way where like your voice will be heard because that's how you become a majority. Because the same way women could be watching as like my gay rights are going away, the same way as a Muslim living in a Christian country's rights go away, a Christian living in a Muslim country's rights go away, and so on and so on. And like all those areas. So yeah, I just think it's people are just scared, but like I don't know, how do you just sit still? Like how do you not have that fire? I can't understand it. Like you
I can't
just
either.
like how do you just sit and like not say anything? And I know, and I have people in my life that they're like, we don't talk politics. Politics, religion, blah blah blah. It's like the things that you don't talk at work. They implement that in their real life as well. I don't get it. I don't get it. Everything is politics. Money is politics. Financial decisions is politics. Like my personal finance decisions that I'm making is related to politics, is related to society, is related to the decisions that are being made. So how do you not have an opinion on that if you're struggling financially at home? You can barely make ends at the end of the month. It's all related. So if you're never gonna speak out, like what are you expecting? It's like that video that we saw about that guy that I sent you who was doing the example of the Palestinian, like bring the food in, just pray about it, and like the food is gonna be like it's not. Your problem's not gonna be just solved. So for you to just sit down and just not talk about it or think like it's just not gonna change or like you can't really do anything to make it, I don't understand it.
I think there's categories of people who don't speak up. I think there's people who are comfortable in their privilege and think it's not their problem. And to your point, oh, I don't get into politics, and like that's what they say to rid themselves of the burden. And then there's people who are too busy surviving. We specifically live in a world that makes it hard for everyone to make ends meet. We have a disappearing middle class. The rate of inflation is nowhere near matching the rate of our salaries going up, right? It's getting harder and harder to afford homes or to afford your rent. people are suffocating under the conditions of our world, and they are going to continue to suffer because they don't have to not only get themselves up out of the suffering, but then figure out who's making them suffer and how all these systems are interconnected. And that speaking up for Palestine is speaking up for immigrant rights in the US, is speaking up for your cost of living, it's all the same thing. And people are just too tired. So I think there's a full category of people who just don't have they don't have it. They don't have it. It's
Don't have the
unfortunate.
capacity.
They don't have the capacity, they don't have the time. I mean, like, if I think about my journey of waking up, for example, even growing up Palestinian, I knew Palestine was a social justice issue. I knew it was not right. I knew whatever, but I had no idea how deeply connected the tentacles were in everything from, you know, how hard it is to pay rent to police brutality to Palestine, how everything was actually way more connected. I didn't have time for that, right? Because I grew up poor, and with that comes trying to take care of yourself and then deal with the trauma. We just talked about in the beginning of this how there's people who go through so much trauma, they won't even acknowledge that it's trauma. They tell themselves they're fine and they're carrying this heavy load. Same connected to the concept of we've been tricked into giving the village away and then buying it back. That another Trevor Noah video where we don't ask for help. We're afraid to ask for help. We're looked down upon if we use social services from the government. We are easily divided into categories, this bipartisan country, right? Like you have left or right. So we've been controlled, manipulated, and our education system doesn't make it any easier to actually learn what's happening. We spend most of our life thinking Christopher Columbus is a hero, and then you grow up and find out that they purposely starved the indigenous people here in the same way that they're starving the indigenous people of Palestine. These are all things you have to learn because the powers that be do a really good job of covering it up. And then while they're covering it up, they're suffocating you under the conditions of, like, at least in the US.
Struggling.
It's hard. It's hard. I could go on for hours. I'm just trying not to monologue.
No, I mean, go. I just had a rough day, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
it's
just do
just
think,
everything. No, I'm not annoyed with you. I'm just processing everything. Like a part of me like want to have this conversation because it's a way to get it out of my head and system.
uh-huh.
But it's just, yeah, it's just a lot. Like sometimes you just have to ignore it, but it's like really hard to ignore. Like it's just really, really, really hard. Like I cannot keep it like in my like I want to just pause my brain for a second to be able to focus on doing something else, but it just gets really hard. I had a electrician come over this morning to help me, I'm setting up the room, like add a plug somewhere in the wall. And he's Mexican. I was like talking to him and I was like, hey, like how's it going for you? And then like he was telling me like how he's like so freaking out because they keep getting stopped on the road, even though he's legal and everything. But it's like their heart is like their life is like so much harder that both him and his wife they're considering like moving to Mexico. They're like, we're just gonna like go back to Mexico because they're like, yes, I'm providing my kids like, a good life here. But they're like, it's just exhausting. It's like, I just want to fucking go get my groceries on Sunday and I have to be like super high alert on how I'm driving or like how it is on the street because I'm getting stopped for no fucking reason for someone to just like waste my time for 20 minutes to prove whatever point they're trying to prove. And he's got his parents that are older as well, like in their like 70s and 80s. He's like, I don't want my parents to be dealing with that. Like it's just like time for them to just like relax in the last couple of years. And it's just like for no fucking reason. And honestly, like it was really hard to hear him say that because I was like, man, like the dude is just trying to work. He's not really doing anything. He literally is just working, paying tax, and just like trying to have a life. And then you're just creating a system just to give him a harder time just because of his skin color. He's getting stopped on the street just because of his skin color. Like they just like flash you all passing by darker, looks Hispanic or whatever. Like, oh, show us your paper. What the fuck?
I was watching a video. I do think so. To backtrack to some of what you said, like I think that is the point. Like I think the point is to get us to be so fed up that we leave or that we're afraid to speak up because think about someone like him. Like he doesn't want to bring more light on him self when he's already being targeted for no good reason. Now what, he's going to go to a protest and speak up for Palestine? Like, it's already difficult. And it made me think of how, like, when I go to visit Palestine and then I have to deal with the IOF and how they strip search you and they put guns in your face the whole time and they search all of your bags, they spill everything every single trip, on the way in, on the way out. And I remember, like, I just don't want to come back here because I don't want to sit for 5 hours waiting for interrogation that's going to take another two. And, you know, in that way, they are deterring you from trying to come back. But then also, I saw a video that said, like, cruelty is the point, and I'll try to share it on our page. But the man was like kind of holding a camera up to his mirror, and he was saying people try to figure out, like, why would they starve? Oh, why would you call it a genocide when they could just kill everybody in one shot? If Israel wanted to, they would kill everybody in one shot. And he was like, cruelty is the point. They want them to starve, to slowly starve. And then he gave all these examples in other countries, US included, and through past wars where people were just sick and vile and cruel and allowed people to have slow, painful, torturous deaths. And it's not for any purpose other than cruelty. It's like, that's real. That's fucking real. And so these people who are stopping him, your neighbor or whoever, they're doing, like, they actually get joy out of this. They actually get joy. They feel power. They feel better about themselves. And it's like, man, you ain't shit. Like, that's just how I feel. Like, it makes me honestly, like, rage. And I think that's okay. Like, it makes me want to be violent because I'm just like, who did this to you? Like, who made you this way? How do you sleep at night? Like, it's enraging. It's enraging.
It reminds me of your GIF. I need to add your GIF to this.
Yeah. Who made you this way? Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's switch gears. You had said other things that you wanted to talk about today. Are you comfortable switching? I mean, one of them was like, you messaged me and said, today I want to talk about socialism and something else. And I was like, Noel,
communism. Yeah,
that's like a 40-hour podcast and like 19
yes,
master
yes.
classes.
So the reason the way this came up to me, I'm processing, I think, our Saturday morning. Remember when you woke up Saturday morning, like at our place, and my mom was like, "Oh, they just told us like Ziad, like Rahbani, that artist in Lebanon who passed that I told you about." And I just like I think everything is just like now. But like I'm having a conversation with my mom and she's saying like like a lot of people are showing up. They went to the funeral. Like, they're saying like how much good he did. But like now I go back and remember his life. He was such a fighter. He was such a controversial person. Like such a person that like everybody was just like not in line with. But you always had like those little groups of people, including myself, that felt other, that felt different. Like he was more like an atheist agnostic, like he was challenging religion, challenging politics, society, all of that. So we're talking 1975 and on. Like this is really, really, really back then. But then like there was comments that were being made that people were like, "Oh yeah, but we don't like him because he was always a communist." And I'm like, and what's wrong with that? Like, I just couldn't understand, like, how was that an insult? And like, I had to go and do some research. That's when I messaged you, and I was like, we need to talk about this because, like, I had to like actually go look it up to understand, like, where is the like. I always knew what the word communist means, but I just didn't understand like the insult behind it when it's coming from like the Soviet Union because it was like used by the Soviet, like supposedly commun. So do we know the difference between communism, socialism, and capitalism? Because I had
No,
to
I
go
think
look
we
it
should
up.
read the definitions right now.
Okay, I did have them here ready just in case. So communism, all property owned by the community, no private ownership, classless society. Everyone equal. If you're a doctor, you're a butcher, you're an electrician, everybody makes the same amount of money, everybody's just living the same life. You're doing your job based on purpose, not because you get paid more or less. You're not going to get paid more or less, and everybody's living the same. There's no class. Socialism, public ownership of key industries, like wealth shared more equally. Well, it's not here, but I remember reading it. It was more like healthcare and like those big ones that are usually publicly owned. But then wealth is shared more equally, and there's some private property allowed. So it's not too much, but it's like a between. And then you have the American system, which is capitalism, and this is all private ownership, free markets, profit-driven economy with minimal government control. So you have the two extremist ends of capitalism, communism, and then you have the center, which is socialism. We
Mm.
live in a capitalist country, and I guess like the Soviet Union and Russia, it was supposed to be applying communism, but they used it to become a dictatorship where like they were like now going back after people. And that's why people were saying like communism is bad. That's what I found out from my research. And that's why he was of a communist mentality of like, yeah, people like no one is better than anyone as humans. We should all be getting the same equally. And if you do a job, you do it out of like I like doing this job, not because I get paid more or whatever. Thoughts on that?
I only have two thoughts. I guess two questions. One is, I think China, is it still communist, and Cuba?
Cuba is,
When I went to Cuba, they were living in poverty, and also very, like, the people were that I spoke to, like whether it was a cab driver or like the cleaning person of the place that we stayed at, they were saying how difficult life is under that system. And so from seeing it, I feel like, and I don't know if that's just because of like sanctions, and like so they don't have ability to import, and so they're struggling because the world doesn't want them to be communist, or I just don't know enough about this, but I just remember that they're suffering from what I saw.
so I guess that's what I wanted to talk about because I was just like thinking it out loud and I don't know what my opinion is. I was just like, this is how my thought got to there because I was like, oh, people were like upset that, oh, he was a communist. And I was like, okay, but hold on, where is so bad about that? So thinking more about it, so communism, I guess the good thing about the idea of it is that everybody will be treated fairly. The bad thing about it
Ideally.
is
In theory.
ideally,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
The bad thing is that if you have someone in power, like government or whatnot, maybe they will not be rich. I don't know if Cuba, like you have like people in government that are richer, but they shouldn't be if the system is communism, you know, so you shouldn't be making more money. But does that mean the reason why they're so poor over there is because this is how, like, if you distribute the wealth amongst everyone equally, everybody will be poor and struggling. And that's why you have people. So for some people to live comfortably or okay, and some people to live richer, other people have to like extremely be poor and struggling. Is this the world we live in?
No, I think, and again, I don't know much about this, and I'm exposing that, and I'm okay with that. But I wonder if, in Cuba's case, like it doesn't work at all because, again, like countries like the US are invested in like their failure. So they put sanctions on them, they restrict travel, and then that like their economy can't thrive, and therefore their people can't thrive because they can't, like they're not doing business with the world, so
Uh,
they're closed off, and so then the people all suffer. I don't know if it's a government thing because there were people there that did have more money than others, as I understood it. I mean, somebody owned the property that we were staying at, the Airbnb, and then somebody worked for like $8 a month or something. Like, I remember we left a tip that was like 3 months worth of her salary, and it wasn't really like a big deal to us.
mm.
So I really don't know enough about this, but I do know I don't think it's working there. Whereas in China, like with all the latest, like how they finally started talking to us and we started talking to them online. And then China was like, wait, you guys don't have freedom in this way? Wait, you guys don't did? And like the Chinese people were shocked at how shitty American life is what I started learning from that period that when we were communicating on that app. I forgot what it was called, but it was for a while when they were about to take away TikTok. Everybody went to that app and started learning that, like, oh shit, when we actually talk to these people, they're not suffering. China's not doing bad. I don't know. Anyway, what shit?
I was reading on China, and because I was like, wait, how come the system is working in China and not in Cuba? And they said like the system, communism, does work. And China, extreme poverty dropped from 88% in 1981 to under 1% in 2020.
But they also have billionaires in China. So how does that work? I remember,
Yeah.
I think somebody told me I don't know if it's the most billionaires there or just like lots of billionaires, but they have billionaires. I mean, I think you and I are clearly level like 101 at this,
Yes.
but I'm wondering like what was what prompted you to say, like, we should talk about this? Was it like, hey, let's do some research and figure out what's what? Or like, what was your thought around it today?
So I'm reading about it now, and it says politically communist, but economically socialist, where like some sectors are more controlled and others just like free for all. So like, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think again, I don't know enough, but I think I would fall under like socialism as like my pick from what I know, the like government officials that like I want to follow, like the candidates that I like, they tend to be socialist.
So I do. So this is the other thing that I was thinking about is because morally, I like the idea of socialism, and I like the idea of if you tax me more today and you give me healthcare, education, blah, 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 like the main things that I need to live off of, and give others as well the same, where like I know like I will not see other people poor or like other people that are struggling, like they have the main things. I like the idea of it, and I would be willing to be like, yep, tax me more, take more of my money. That's great. The question that came to mind though, as I was reading it, I was like reading about all three of them and like how it's working in countries and whatnot, was if I wanted to enjoy something that is more expensive, how do I do that under a socialist like regime?
What do you mean
I
by
might not.
enjoying something?
So like if I wanted to like if everybody is not, I don't know how to say that without sounding like an asshole, but this is just like a thought that came to my mind. Like if
That's
I
fair.
go to if I go to like I today, let's say I'm making decent money, okay? I'm not making, not talking about myself. Like X person is making, let's say average household income in the US is 50K and someone is making 100K. And like that 100K person want to go and enjoy a resort, but that resort you have employees who are making 30 or 40K working for that resort. If those employees don't need to work there, who will be working at that resort? And how do you still get to enjoy that type of resort if you don't have people? Like the classism is still gonna affect people somehow when it comes to like economically or socially. Does that, you know what I mean? And I know this is sounding horrible, but that's
It's
the
very
reality
real.
that we're living in, you know, where like you get to go to a restaurant, you want to have like a nice meal. Like if maybe a lot of waiters would not have those jobs if like they can have a better life and they're not struggling. Or you want to go to a resort, like you know what I mean? So when you go to like, go ahead.
Confused, going back to how socialism works, first to answer your question. How does socialism affect jobs? Like why would jobs shift? Like waiters would still be waiters and doctors would still be doctors. Does socialism propose that we would all get paid the same? No, right? Because that's what you said communism is.
True, but I was thinking like if you're a waiter and you're not struggling, why would you want to keep that job unless you really like it? Because most of the time, and I could be very wrong, people who tend to like take waiter jobs or whatnot, it's like someone like I'm just going through school. I'm just trying. I mean, I did. That was my job. When I went through school, I was like, I'm gonna suck it up. It's a good tip. I'll make some extra cash, and I pushed through school, and I did that for a couple of years. But if I didn't need to, I probably wouldn't. Like if I had free education, I'm like, I'll just get a different job, and I don't have to waiter, and like I just use that job to like pay for my gas and just go into school.
I think I'm following what you're saying, and I'm also having deja vu, which I know is impossible in this moment. But
So it says waiters would, sorry if I'm interrupting,
no, you got it. Go ahead.
waiters would still exist in socialism, but the nature of their job would change. Instead of working for a private restaurant owner, they might work for a state-owned or cooperative restaurant. Wages would likely be standardized or set by the government rather than tips and market competition. They'd probably have more stable employment and benefits, less potential for higher earnings through tips or promotions. The gap between low wage and high wage jobs is smaller, so being a waiter might not be seen as lesser compared to other jobs.
Yeah, it sounds like a beautiful system, honestly. And I do think like at the end of the day, like, yeah, you're right. Like some scenarios you mentioned is like, oh, I'm waiting tables while I'm doing XYZ, while I'm making it as an actor, while I'm in school. So I think that will still be happening. Like people will still need those jobs, and it'll be great that they actually pay fair wages instead of paying $2 an hour and relying on the public to pay the salaries of the wait staff.
Which makes more sense. And like you're not burdening the people by saying like you need to pay more tips because the waiters are not getting paid, which I get it. I'm just saying it shouldn't
No,
be
like
like
other
it
countries
should have
do.
yes. Actually, another social democracy like Sweden, I got that as another example. And there I'm comparing Cuba to Sweden, for example. In Cuba, most restaurants are state-owned. Waiters earn fixed low wages. Sweden, restaurants are privately owned but heavily regulated. Cuba, tips are small but common from tourists. In Sweden, waiters earn wages, no tip dependent, and get strong benefits like healthcare and vacation. So it's all regulated by the government. That's the difference between Cuba and Sweden, for example, even though they're both socialist. Like Cuba, job security is high, but pay is low and supplies are limited. Sweden, high taxes fund social programs, so inequality is low. So if you're actually doing that job, it's because you want to do that job, because it's like, I like actually talking to people and I like doing this job. I am getting good benefits. I am getting all of this. It's just a job. It's just work. So that makes more sense. I guess I was seeing a waiter as less of a job because of the society that we live in now. Because most people who actually choose to waiter right now is people who are just like trying to move on to their next goal rather than like, this is my job. Like, I like doing this.
Yes.
So I love socialism. People are
Yes.
gonna come at me now, but hey,
I don't
it sounds good.
It sounds good to me too, and I think it sounds good to like candidates that we followed in the past, like Bernie Sanders or Zahran Mamdani, right? Like, I don't, teach us. You want to come at us, teach us. Instead of every time we say that, someone's going to come at us. But we're just learning, and we're learning out loud, and I think that's okay.
Because I never understood, like even like today with the communism, with Ziad, the guy who just passed, I just didn't understand like why was it used as an insult? Like even socialism is usually used as an insult. You're a socialist.
Yes.
I don't get it. What's so bad
Um,
about it?
I think that goes back to the what we talked about in the beginning of the conversation, where we are living in a system that heavily influences our brains in order to influence our decisions. And they need us to think that capitalism is the way that it is right now is the best system that there is. And this is a conversation that I would have with a friend about Islam. And I saw actually a post that said, like, the empire is so against Islam because although Islam allows like a capitalist framework, it limits, for example, you are not allowed to charge interest. You are not to take advantage of people, basically. Like, it has rules of how to make it fair and not that you profit off of each other. And so that video was really cool. I want to find it and send it to you. But she was just basically noting, like, and that's why the West hates Islam, because it is um a system that they can't. Oh, that's what she said. She said, like, the Muslims are disciplined in that practice, and so they can't be controlled by capitalism in the same way. And so I think we're more easily controlled, as you said, even like without even realizing it, how you viewed waiters, or how you viewed the trade-off of, oh well, how will the system affect me? That's not because you're a bad person. It's because there's years of propaganda and years of training in your head to make you think that there's no other way that makes sense. And so we have to learn how the other way makes sense and then defend it with as much information, stats, and stuff as possible, because there's all these other people in our society that have the same ideas, that if you say communism or if you say socialism, you're an idiot. And it's really like, well, did you look it up? Do you know what it
And I
provides?
don't think they did. Well, that's what that was the question that I asked today when was mentioned to me about Ziad. They're like, oh yeah, but he's a communist. I was like, and what is that? Why is that bad? Like on it, like I understood it before, but I was like second guessing myself. I was like, but why is it bad? Like I don't understand. Why are we having this conversation? Like it's kind of an insult. He's a communist. But then when I read into it and it said like, oh, it's probably linked to the Soviet Union, I was like, okay, well, that's a totally different story. But it's not the system that is something bad. It's just who applied that system and abused it in that way
Not just that, but they
politically.
were they were our enemies at the time. And so
Hmm.
similar to, back then they would
This is in the Middle
blacklist.
East, though.
Wow, I'm thinking of US,
No,
but
I'm talking about people in the Middle East that was having this conversation. I was like,
I
yeah, but
wonder why
he's a
they.
communist. I was like, what does that mean? Like they were saying it's Shi'i in Arabic. So they were like, yeah, but who is Shi'i? I'm like, okay, but I was like, what? Why? I didn't understand. Was that an insult? But then I had to look it up and I was like, oh, it's probably like it got muddied. Like Shia, like communism got muddied due to the time because of the Soviet Union. And I think people are just thinking like, oh, you support Russia then, or you support the Soviet Union, and like how they were doing all those atrocities. And I'm like, I think that that has nothing to do. Like it's like how you see a Muslim doing something bad and you're like, Muslim, Islam is bad. Or, you just yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it sounded to me. But um actually, the more I'm like learning about it right now, I just realized that I'm a socialist. Like
Are you
not
coming out as a
I
socialist?
am. I think I am. No, without even like thinking like I have to apply this, but I am like actually going back to my life. I was like, okay, but I live in the US. I have all the opportunities. I can be the millionaire that I can. And I'm like looking back at like my life right now, like how my husband and I live our life, regardless of the amounts of money that we're making together, we're still living our life within specific means that is closer to as if the system is a socialist for us. Like the extra money above what we need to live off of day to day that we are making, and you know that because we talked about it, we're dumping it into retirement because we're just worried about like not having health care, blah, 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 like when we're in a retirement age, so that we can have that same kind of decent life. But it's not like we're just going and like buying gold and like going on yacht and doing something so obnoxious. Like I feel our life, yes, we are making decent money as a household, but our day-to-day expenses is very socialist. Like if actually I knew that the government system that I'm living in, I know I will never need to use healthcare, like I can like, rely on the government or education or housing or food or whatever, I probably would not care to save for my retirement and I would not care to make the money that I'm making. Like I would, you know what I mean? Like I would just take a job to live within that means. So I am a socialist. I'm a socialist. Wow.
Congratulations.
Yes. Okay.
I have a
I'm
question
living
though.
in the wrong country then. I should
Yeah,
go live
no.
in a socialist country.
I think for yes, I do. I think we're living in the wrong country for sure. Like the more and more like down to like how our food is poisoned and how big pharma controls like our government and how like we bail out corporations but not people, and people are like crushed under student loan debt, police brutality, the prison industrial system, like the like I'm just kind of like this is a very scary place to live. Like they make it sound like the boogeyman is in the Arab world, and I'm like, no, no, this is a
Yeah.
very scary place to live when you really think about it.
I was talking to a friend today in Lebanon, checking like he was sending me a video of like the highway where I remember like it's an area in Lebanon, like you take it to go from like Beirut to Jbel, Byblos and whatnot. And I'm like, man, it doesn't matter how like fucked up the situation could be there. Like there's something in my heart. I was like, I wish I'm just like there right now in this highway, in this heat, taking that bus. I don't want to wish it too much because I like the comfort that I have here too. It's just, but there's something in my heart that was like, it just feels different. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're torn between having to be appreciative for the life that you have and the comfort that you have here, but like still feel that emotional about those areas because of the people and the culture. And anyway, I feel I'm sounding too emotional today. I'm just extremely torn apart. I'm like all over the place.
You can be all over the place. There's no what the hell. I'd
Yeah.
rather you be too emotional than say tears came out of my face instead of not knowing how to say I'm crying, right? Like I'd rather you be in touch with your emotion.
I cried after that electrician left today too, and like my husband came and gave me a hug. It just broke my heart. I don't know what was going on today. I think I'm just like too. I'm feeling everything. Like I'm just feeling it all. But
I felt
I was
yesterday too.
my husband was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "What's that bringing up for you?" I was like, "It's not fucking fair." Like I was like losing my brain in my head. Is like that poor guy just wants to go to fucking work. He just want to go get groceries. Anyway, yeah. So I guess I'm gonna hear people probably in the comments say, "If you don't like it here, then fucking leave." And I'll say the same answer that I say to everyone. If you don't like a system, it doesn't mean you need to leave the system. It means that maybe you want to make change. because maybe you see it differently than other people, and that's why we vote, and that's why there's democracy. So I'm allowed to complain about something that I don't like and hope that maybe a different system will come up that, in my opinion, it helps more people. So that's where I leave it at.
Yes, no, you stand by that. I was emotional today too. I think, I think you and I have been engaging more heavily with, the genocide, um, these last couple of weeks, and I think that's taking its toll. I also, I also just think it's reached a point, that as we know, like 85% of the population reached stage 5 of hunger. So there's nothing to be done here. It's kind of like we've reached a terrifying milestone. And so that's weighing on me personally. And then when you look at like daily videos of more and more people getting kidnapped by ICE, it's kind of hard to keep a straight face. It's hard, it's just hard. So, cry all you need to because that's why I love you. You're human.
I love you
Love that.
too.
Yeah. I have a question about 401ks.
Okay,
When
that's
you
it.
said like when you said we're investing into our retirement, I thought about like what we throw into our 401k. It's connected to this conversation. But I was like, given the instability of our economy and the way our government doesn't seem to prioritize the people over corporations, what would like is it possible to lose all of the money that you have put into a 401k for your retirement or like your retirement savings? Like is it possible to lose that, like, not by your own accord?
It depends on what plans you use and how you invest it. Usually, if you're doing your 401k through your company, it's a diversified portfolio, and that portfolio is either high risk or lower risk based on your age that is closer to retirement or further out from retirement. So I personally, I'm not concerned about it at all because I've looked into those portfolios, and those portfolios are usually diversified between domestic companies and international companies. Like the whole world need to go into like world war where there's like there's back in like the early 1900s where we're at where like everything is stopping, there's no business, no economy anywhere, that yes, I could see like that. But if it's like affected in one area, that's why I do like those tools. Most people get so overwhelmed with like try to find like what to invest in. I don't like personally to invest in just like one company. It's just not my thing. I don't care about it. I just want to invest in something steady that is giving me 8 to 11% interest rate, over time. So this is what I like about those. So a lot of them you're talking about bonds, stocks. So there's some of them are like treasury bond, like either government tools that you're investing in, they're corporations. So you could be investing in like a diversified portfolio, let's say domestic within the US, Apple, Nike, Windows. So it could be tech, it could be agriculture, it could be manufacturing, it could be education, it could be entertainment. And you're doing that domestic and you're doing the same international. So it could be European countries or Australian countries. So your whole $100 is split out into little bits of like $1, $2, $1, $2, and that's what you do. You buy little stocks through those portfolios. So what are the chances that you're gonna have everything collapse? So if one area collapses more than the other area should balance out.
I see. Okay. I get worried because, I grew up for a long time, especially, my career wise, I was mainly an actor, so I didn't have any of these things. And then I started working full time in addition to acting in 2019 and um 20, yeah. And I still didn't have a 401k. And now in the last couple of years, I have a 401k and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start throwing a lot of money into it as I fix my debt. But
Uh-huh.
I don't want to throw money into a system that will fail me later, like Social Security or something.
Yeah.
Like all of these systems that I don't know if it's boomers or what age group banked on them and they're not here to save them. So I was worried about that when you were talking about our system and retirement.
That's why I would rather like not bank on social security. Like my retirement plan does not include social security. If I get any social security, like that's great. It's just extra money, but I'm not banking on it. My main banking is Roth IRA and my 4K personally. That
Mhm.
plan works for us. We have that plan. And I think with the money that we're estimating to have saved by then, it should be enough to live the same life, quality of life that we have now, that includes the inflation of where we would be at by then in
Wow.
20 years or 30 years. So that's what we want. And I think that's the key for most people who like don't know personal finance or like don't understand it, is that they don't know what that number is. Like people are just living life. Just we're just going by life. But you need to understand, yeah, and that's okay. I mean, a lot of people are doing it, but the goal is, if to think about it, let's say today, and like I'm just gonna simplify it. Let's say today you live off of $80,000 household income. You need to know, okay, what does the 80,000 look like 30 years from now when I'm retiring? Let's say that 80,000 purchasing power, you need 80,000 to pay rent, food, and travel. Let's say that 80,000 you need 150,000 in 30 years. So how much do you need to start saving every month today so that by 30 years you have $3 million that when you pull out of it 4%, it gives you that 150,000 a year to live off of. And once you know that number, it's so easy to just save every month to it and know this is my goal. And then you just move on, live your life. You just automate all of that and then you just move on with your life.
This is something you can help people do. What is the class that you're taking right now? Like, what are you studying?
Be
What's
certified
that?
financial planner.
Certified financial plan. Oh, so that means like, oh, those are the people who actually do this.
Yes, they
Okay.
are the certified financial planner, but I'm just taking the class for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited for us to continue because I know ever since you even helped me like just do my template of being able to look at my debt, which I'm like kind of drowning under between student loans and like credit card decisions. I like you see, I feel so confident when I just go change one of the numbers, but I think the next step for you and I to look at is the Roth IRA
Huh?
and what my K is doing. Like I'm putting as much as I can into the 401k, but I have no idea what a Roth IRA is. And I want what you want. I want to like know the numbers off the top of my head and
Yeah,
know what it looks like, measuring inflation.
it's really easy for people to learn that. It's just people don't like it just doesn't like you're not educated about it. Like you don't know about it. I didn't know about it either. Like I had to learn it with time. It was like,
Yeah.
hold on. If I need to read, like I started to ask more questions, but I'm intrigued by the subject. That's how I got to it. I was like, hold on, so how much
You're
do I
obsessed.
yes. But I was like, how much do I need to retire? And then like I was like, oh, it's this number. I was like, okay, so how much do I need to save to get that whatever 2 million so that if I pull so the rule is just to add one last thing to not make it all finance. The rule is you want to get a certain number of saving, let's say $1 million by age 60 of retirement, so that when you pull 4% out of whatever that X number, in this example is a million, that 4% should be enough because you're pulling 4% and what's remaining from that million is still making interest. So you're still making 8, 9% interest, seven lowest usually on average market, where like you're never gonna run out of money. You can live for hundreds of years, you're never gonna run out of money. That's
You say
oh,
4%, pull 4%. You mean pull 4% per year of your retirement to meet your
correct.
expenses?
Correct. So
Okay.
4% of that $1 million. That's why it's important to know that 80,000 today, let's say you think you want to live off of 80,000 today, how much is that in 30 years? Once you know that number, let's say it's 50,000, should be 4% of the number that you need to save by retirement age. So once you know that number, let's say it's 3 million. Now, okay, how much do I need to save every month? Considering the market is 7% per month, too much math now is happening. That's how I get to the 3 million by age 60 per se. And then you're set. That's it. And then you just do that. And then after that, at least for me, anything that I make over that money or whatever, blow it out. Do whatever the fuck you want. Enjoy life. Like, you know what I mean? But at
Yeah.
least you know what you're working towards. And that monthly 401k that you're putting a Roth has a meaning now. You're having emotional attachment to it because it's your security. It's like you're seeing that life, you're seeing that number, 3 million, whatever that is, that number that you're working towards. It becomes meaningful where like it doesn't feel like, do I put 3% or do I put 4%? Do I put 5%? What am I doing? Do I put 100 or 200?
Yeah.
It just becomes whatever.
See. Okay, yeah, we got to look at it. And none of this was investment advice. Go talk to your financial advisor. Disclaimer, 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 whatever.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you. Sorry that I threw that at you so randomly, but
No,
like
it's okay.
I felt a fear and I was like,
You're like
let me get
communism, socialism.
that.
Where's my 4K going? Remember that video? One last thing, because we don't have much time. I think we have about like 5 minutes. Remember that video that I sent you today about that guy and girl were walking in the zoo, and he asked her like, if you want to be an animal, what animal would you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
If you can be an animal, what animal would you want to be?
Me, you're asking?
Yes.
I always say bird. I want to be a bird.
Why bird?
I just like the idea of flying and being overhead and like, yeah, I'd like that idea. And then while I said bird, my brain flashed an image of like a whale or anything with like that sonar underwater, like echolocate. I feel like they're so powerful and majestic. And I recently heard that dolphins have access to like different universes and
Mm-hmm.
dimensions or something. So I would say either like like whale, dolphin, or bird. But you?
I don't know because we left. I was with a friend of mine. We were at Busch Gardens and we were asking that question. But when you said a bird, like it actually reminded me of her because I was like, "What animal would you want to be?" And then she was like, "Oh, I'll be a bird." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that would be nice." And then I was like, "Oh, doing my wings all day, like it's just it feels exhausting, like to keep like flying all the time." She's like, "Oh no, I'll be a cage bird. I don't want to be a flying bird." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Be a caged bird. I want to be a free, powerful, fast bird in an environment that has like a lot of food that isn't dying from climate problems.
Do you want to be
Just to
like,
fully manifest.
do you want like be a small bird, like a little cute bird, or do you want to be like an eagle?
No, no, I would want to be like a big, powerful bird. Like even if we're thinking like dinosaur age, like the one like I want to be a phoenix, like even though they burn or whatever, but I want to be a
I'd
big,
love to be a
powerful.
phoenix. Phoenix is nice.
There you go. But you didn't pick an animal. Did you pick phoenix? Is that even a real thing? Is a phoenix a fictional thing? It's a fictional
No,
thing.
it is, I think, fictional, but I'd like to be a phoenix. I'd like to be a dragon if I can. It is fictional too. I love dragons. It's just something about dragons that is just like to your point. I think it's the majestic, the fire and everything. But my spirit animal is turtles. So
Really?
yeah,
Why?
I don't know. I always felt something with them, and like they tell you, like if an animal that you always run into or you see all the time, you go out. And I always see turtles everywhere I go. And my husband
That's
always sees dolphins. Everywhere he goes, he sees a dolphin somewhere, and like his spirit animal is a dolphin. So maybe I would want to be a turtle. They're so slow. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I actually would like the idea of a bird because I do like flying too. But I would probably want to be like an eagle or something, not like a little cute bird.
yeah, I don't want to be a little cute bird. They also get eaten in the wild.
Yep, yep, yep. All right.
All
We're
right.
on time.
We're on time. As
Thank you.
always, we
Thank
did it.
you for opening that space to process. I do feel lighter. I'm not gonna lie. I think I just needed to just get it out of my system. And now that it's out of my system, I can go back to like sharing it on my stories again, I guess. Just to process my pain and bother people with it. But here we are.
No, yeah, it's a cycle. We're transforming it. We're learning, and that's literally like if I could impart anything like from the video that I posted today, it's like just keep learning and figuring out where you're wrong, figure out what else there is. And I love how you didn't even say like what's wrong with communism to defend it. Like you're always curious, like, oh well, what is the problem with communism? And I think if more people just said, I don't actually know about that. Can I learn about that? We wouldn't be so easily divided by people who can benefit from our division.
And I guess if someone is watching this and have ideas, like I guess leave us a comment on the videos or in the podcast. Like, why do you think communism is bad? Like as an idea, not as Soviet Union is bad.
How it was not how it's implemented in
Yes, yes,
theory.
or socialism or whatever idea that you might think is bad. I mean, we're all trying to learn, so we'll learn more. All
And some of
right.
us will get mad at us, but it's okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All
All right,
right.
love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please consider leaving a comment and a review. It helps us improve and reach more people.
We're all just trying to figure it out one conversation at a time. So go easy on yourself. Trust the process. And remember, it's okay, Habibi.